Jaws was released 50 years ago in 1975, soon to have a special 50th anniversary special. That is ultimately one of the main reasons that I chose it as the very first movie in my 52-week horror movie challenge found in Everybody's a Critic, the horror movie edition. Week 1's actually pretty straightforward. I gotta watch a horror movie that got a Best Picture nomination. While Jaws didn't exactly win that Best Picture award, it did win for Best Sound, Best Editing, and Best Original Score by none other than John Williams. People were blown away by this thing when it first came out, and now in 2025, it's still the quintessential shark movie. We've had countless others throughout the years, of course, but they're almost always laughed at, joked about, or considered nothing more than a parody of what could be great. Yet, I only ever saw Jaws once, as a kid, and I remembered almost nothing about it other than it was a shark movie and you're gonna need a bigger boat. So let's chat on if Jaws still works for a modern audience. If you've never seen it, Jaws is about a great white shark that is extremely territorial, and he starts terrorizing the beach of Amity Island. The mayor of this town insists on keeping the beach open because it's a beach town, especially in the summer. They're about to hit the 4th of July and they can't afford to close the beach. So the police chief, a marine biologist, and an old seafarer decide to hunt this beast down once and for all. So for the most part, I'm the type of movie watcher that isn't exactly jumping at the chance to watch a movie that primarily takes place in the water or is about sharks. Some can be great, yeah, but for whatever reason, I just end up avoiding them. But I will admit that in 1975, I can fully understand, appreciate, and agree that this movie deserved those accolades. It changed the way that we saw movies. It scared people away from even going to the beach for a while. The practical effects alone are revolutionary. Just like with Jurassic Park, the animatronic work was perfection. It was hard to even tell that it was fake or man-made. That's a big part of what makes this movie timeless. The shark. This is also one of the very few movies that I'm okay with implied violence or gore, because a real shark attack, for the most part, you're not gonna see very much of anything going on. You're going to see essentially what happens in this movie, which is a lot of mayhem, a lot of screaming and flailing, and maybe some water that turns to red after a while. And then you might see a lone fin escape back underwater. So there's that level of mystery where the shark is that sticks with you. Even just asking, is there a shark there at all, or am I just paranoid? That can honestly mess with your head if you're a big beach goer. So another aspect of this film that feels timeless is spending time at the beach, where there may or may not be a shark somewhere out there waiting and watching. This film does a very good job with that, as well as some fairly decent red herrings here and there, where there isn't even a shark, but people are at attention anyway, expecting there to be. So they're seeing signs of trouble where there is none to be found. That is some expert filmmaking from Spielberg, undoubtedly. Though, I do think that this is a movie that if it was released for the very first time in 2025, it probably wouldn't be receiving the same accolades. In today's day and age, I think that a lot of us are expecting a certain movie with shark attacks, and that's not ultimately what we have in Jaws. This film, believe it or not, with all the body parts, kids dying, and blood everywhere, was PG. Part of that was because PG-13 didn't exist yet, but even so, I think that they still limited themselves with that PG rating. I think that it should have been R, just as a precaution. I mean, again, in 1975, it didn't matter all that much, but in 2025, if it was filmed again, released again, it would be R. Also, let's talk about the character of Quint, played by Robert Shaw. He's probably my biggest pet peeve or negative about the movie. I'll give him credit where it's due by saying he was very charismatic and memorable, but there's a few reasons why I don't particularly like him. First of all, his accent's all over the place. He was an English actor who was tasked on taking on this role, and they threw a slew of weird accents in his direction that he had to cover, as well as speak them quickly, and also threw seafarer slang that I didn't understand. So 75% of what he was saying throughout the movie I didn't get. In fact, I couldn't help but think of Dana Carvey's impression of this character in his movie Master of Disguise.
Well, let it do, my wee Spanish ladies. What are you talking about?
I'm talking about a heat ray.
What?
My thoughts exactly. Still, it's important to remember that this movie did come out in 1975, even though I don't think it would have as big of or as iconic of an impact as 50 years ago if it were released today. I do think that it would still easily be the best shark movie that we've ever gotten. There's still really no contest with that. And for how many movies that we've gotten in the last 5 decades about sharks, that's huge praise. Though, for me, I can't really see myself going back time and time again to rewatch this movie. For me, it's an important film to watch, and it's important to respect it for where it came from and how it influenced the industry. But past that, I'll stick to other movies. I'm gonna give this 77 out of 100 possible stars. For me, that is a B letter grade. Let me know what you guys thought about Jaws in the comment section down below, and what your favorite shark movie is. Also, make sure to hit that like, subscribe button, and bell to be notified when I come out with my next review, whenever that will be. And until then, peace out.